Hi, I'm Daniel, 32, and last month I got hit with a lawsuit claiming I fathered a child I'd never even seen, and my ex-wife swore it was mine. She even had 2 fake witnesses lined up. But there was one little problem. I had proof I was in London when the kid was supposedly conceived. I was shaving when I heard the knock, no, the pounding, at the door. Thought it was the upstairs neighbor again, the one with anger management issues and a deep hatred of jazz at 8 a.m. But it wasn't him. It was the sheriff. Big guy. No smile. He shoved a packet into my chest like he was handing me a live grenade. Dominic Torres, he barked. You've been served. That's how I found out I apparently owed $48,000 in back child support for a kid I didn't even know existed. I just stood there, bathroom towel around my waist, shaving cream still on half my jaw, flipping through legalese about a 2-year-old named Leo who I'd supposedly abandoned. And guess who filed it? My ex-wife, Lisa Vaughn. The same Lisa who told me 5 years ago she wouldn't ruin her body with kids and stormed out of our marriage because I worked too much. And now? She was claiming I was Leo's deadbeat dad and owed her for every diaper, doctor visit, and bottle of organic juice that kid ever consumed. The court date was set for 7 days. 7. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or start Googling sperm test centers. I called Mark, my divorce attorney, a man with the personality of a crocodile and the empathy of drywall. He picked up after 2 rings. She did it, I said. Who? Lisa. She filed paternity. I heard the sound of a drawer slam. Get in here. Now. And bring every piece of evidence you have that you didn't father that child. The second I walked into his office, Mark didn't even look up from his desk. She's broke, he said. How do you know? Because she filed through the county, not a private attorney. And people who file with the county? They're broke and desperate. And desperate people do stupid, illegal things. He slid a manila folder toward me. Inside? 2 sworn witness affidavits. 2 women claimed they saw me holding a toddler in a park back in 2022 and promising Lisa cash. Which was a neat trick considering I was in London that entire summer for a corporate merger. I had passport stamps, receipts, and selfies with bad British teeth to prove it. Mark leaned back, cracked his knuckles, and said, We don't just deny. We go nuclear. DNA test. Rush order. Motion for sanctions. I want her crying before the test comes back. I nodded. I wasn't just fighting for my money. I was fighting to keep my name. Mark wasn't kidding about going nuclear. By the end of the day, we had filed for a court-ordered DNA test with rush processing, motion to block any temporary garnishments, and subpoenaed Lisa's bank records to challenge her poverty claim. She's playing the system like a violin, Mark muttered as we walked out of the clerk's office. But she's out of tune. And I'm going to make sure the whole courtroom hears it. The first hearing was 3 days later. Family court was exactly what you'd expect, chaotic, loud, sticky with stress. Crying toddlers. Exhausted parents. A woman 2 rows over was sobbing because her ex took their dog. That kind of chaos. Then I saw her. Lisa. She looked like she had come straight from a Netflix documentary called Mothers Who Suffer. No makeup. Messy bun. Oversized cardigan. She even had tissues tucked into her sleeve like some tragic grandmother. And then she smirked. Just for a second. It was quick. But I saw it. That cold little smile that said, Gotcha? Mark noticed too. Nice touch, he muttered. She's playing the judge already. The judge, Harrison, called us up. She had a face carved out of granite, and an attitude to match. Miss Vaughn, she said, you're asking for emergency back support of $48,000. Why? Lisa's public defender did her best. Your Honor, my client is being evicted. Mr. Torres is financially secure and abandoned this child after promising support. I didn't move a muscle. Mark stepped forward. We deny all claims of paternity. Mr. Torres was out of the country during the alleged conception and the supposed sighting. We request a court-ordered genetic marker test immediately, and Mr. Torres will cover the cost. Lisa gasped, like we'd accused her of arson. He held Leo. She blurted out. He looked at me and said he wanted to be a father. Mr. Torres? The judge asked. I'm demanding the test, Your Honor. Right now. Lisa blinked. That was the first time the mask cracked. She hadn't expected me to agree, let alone pay for it. Her whole play was built on delay case confusion. And I just wiped that off the board. Judge Harrison didn't hesitate. Stat test ordered. 3rd floor lab. We reconvene in 10 days. But then she looked directly at me. If this test comes back positive, I will double the arrears for attempting to mislead this court. I understand, I said. Lisa brushed past me as we left, leaned in close, and whispered, You should have just paid Dom. Now I'm going to ruin you. I didn't flinch. Save it for the jury, Lisa. And that's when Mark leaned over and said, We need to find out who really fathered this kid. She didn't just make this up for fun. Someone was paying her, until recently. He was right. Because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about money. And someone had been bankrolling Lisa's little charade. Until now. 3 days later, Mark called me while I was at the gym, halfway through a set of deadlifts. Drop the bar, he said. We found him. Found who? Brad Miller. Contractor. Local guy. Deposits to Lisa's account started right after the kid was born, every month, like clockwork. $500 here, $800 there. He stopped paying 2 months ago. That's when she filed on you. I nearly dropped the barbell on my foot. She's been double dipping? I asked, grabbing a towel. Exactly. Bleeding this Brad guy dry, and when he tapped out, she needed a new ATM. And now I'm the ATM. Not anymore. I tracked Brad down. He's living in a motel on the edge of town. Wants nothing to do with lawyers. Then I'm going to talk to him myself. Dominic. No, I need to see the guy she really scammed. I pulled into the parking lot of the Motel 6 with a half-dead cactus in front of the office and a dozen broken dreams parked under the carport. Brad was out back, sitting on the tailgate of a sun-bleached Ford F-150, chain-smoking like the world was ending. You Brad Miller? I asked. He jumped, eyes darting like I was there to repo the truck. Who's asking? Lisa send you? I shook my head. No. Lisa filed a paternity claim against me. Says I'm Leo's dad. Brad stared at me, then let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. That woman, he muttered. She told me I was the father. I gave her everything. He stood, big guy, probably used to swinging sheetrock and climbing roofs, but now he looked worn down, like a man who hadn't slept in months. I sold my boat. Took extra shifts. She said Leo needed allergy meds, special formula, nebulizers. I never even saw a doctor's bill. Then I got hurt on a job, couldn't work, and she ghosted me. Did you ever take a DNA test? I asked. Brad looked down. She said if I loved her, I'd believe her. That it was an insult to question her. I nodded slowly. You weren't stupid, Brad. You were scammed. But you can help stop her now. He frowned. How? Come to court with me. Bring your bank records. Your texts. Anything you've got. He looked away. I can't afford a lawyer. I'm not trying to get in trouble. You're already in trouble. She's lying to the courts. If that kid is yours, don't you want to know? Don't you want to fight for him? That hit. He blinked fast, then nodded. Friday? Friday. He took a shaky breath. You think she'll be there? Oh, she'll be there. I patted his shoulder. And she's not going to see it coming. Friday hit like a thunderclap. The courtroom was even more packed this time, buzzing with that thick air of anticipation, like everyone could feel something was about to blow. Lisa walked in like she was walking the runway at a pity convention. Full mascara. Soft curls. A light blue cardigan that practically screamed innocent single mother. She gave the judge a tight smile. Gave me a smug one. She hadn't seen Brad yet. Mark leaned toward me. She's confident. She's clueless. Judge Harrison banged the gavel. We are back on the record. Docket number 4402, Vaughn versus Torres. The results of the genetic marker test have been returned. You could hear a pin drop. Lisa sat upright. Clutched a rosary like she was auditioning for sainthood. Judge Harrison opened the envelope, adjusted her glasses, and read silently. Then again. Her eyes narrowed. She looked up. The probability of paternity is 0%. Silence. Then Lisa gasped. A full, dramatic, Oscar-worthy gasp. Hand over mouth. That can't be right. The lab does not make errors on exclusions, the judge said flatly. Lisa jumped to her feet. But we were together. Unless. She looked around, wild-eyed. Unless someone took advantage of me. At that party. I was drinking. I think I was assaulted. Mark's chair creaked as he stood. Your Honor, before Miss Vaughn fabricates further, we have a witness. Lisa froze. A what? The judge asked. Mr. Bradley Miller. He's seated in the back. The temperature dropped. Lisa turned like she'd seen a ghost, and there was Brad, standing up, wearing a clean shirt, holding a fat envelope. He looked nervous, but he didn't flinch. The judge blinked. Mr. Miller stepped forward. Lisa's voice cracked. He's just a friend. I'm not a friend, Lisa, Brad said firm. She told me I was the father. I've been paying her for 2 years. Judge Harrison leaned forward. You have proof? Brad stepped up like a man walking to the gallows, then slammed his folder down. Bank transfers. Text messages. Every lie in black and white. He pointed at one printout. Here's where she said if I missed another payment, she'd tell people I hit her. The courtroom gasped. The judge flipped through the documents, her jaw set like iron. Miss Vaughn, she said coldly. Did you collect money from Mr. Miller while pursuing child support from Mr. Torres? Lisa was shaking now. I needed help. Leo has needs. Neither of them was giving me enough. The judge stood. You attempted to defraud the court. You defrauded Mr. Miller. You filed a false affidavit. This isn't about your child. This is about you. She turned. Bailiff. No! Lisa screamed as the bailiff approached. You can't arrest me. I have a child. Who's going to watch Leo? The judge didn't flinch. CPS is en route to your sister's address. Take her. Lisa exploded. Kicked over a water pitcher. Screamed at Brad. Screamed at me. Called the judge a monster. They dragged her out as the courtroom watched, wide-eyed. And just like that, the woman who tried to ruin 2 lives was facing prison. But the story wasn't over yet. The judge turned to Brad. Mr. Miller, I'm ordering an emergency DNA test. If Leo is yours, you'll be granted custody. We will not send this boy to foster care. Brad nodded, tears in his eyes. I stood there, stunned. Lisa came for me with lies. But truth showed up in work boots and drywall dust, and it hit back harder than she ever saw coming. We sat on the hallway bench like 2 men who had just survived an earthquake. The courtroom door had closed behind Lisa's shrieking meltdown, and the silence outside felt unreal. Brad hadn't said much since the judge ordered the emergency DNA test. He kept clenching and unclenching his fists like his body couldn't decide whether to collapse or explode. She's really gone, he said finally, voice hoarse. For now, I said. But if there's any justice left in this system, she won't be back anytime soon. He nodded, staring at the wall. A clerk came out 20 minutes later with the paperwork and swab kit. Brad followed her down the hallway toward the lab like he was walking into surgery. I sat alone again. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. Lisa. She was already calling from jail. I declined. I don't know what I expected to feel. Relief, vengeance, closure. All I felt was tired. A day later, I got the call from Mark. She did it before, he said. What? She scammed others. We've got a list. Brad wasn't the first. Credit cards, loans, even a fake GoFundMe for Leo's cancer treatments. We're compiling everything and handing it over to the DA. I blinked. Jesus. Yeah. And get this, none of it worked until she used you. Your name gave her legitimacy. I laughed bitterly. So I was the PR for her scam operation. Pretty much. And now you're the anchor that's going to drown her. 2 days later, Brad called me. I didn't even say hello. It's me, he said. The results came in. I held my breath. I'm his dad. I exhaled. You sure? I asked. Positive. 99, 99, 99. The judge signed the emergency custody order this morning. I pick him up in an hour. For the first time, I heard Brad smile over the phone. He's mine. Officially. Legally. I'm going to raise him. Good, I said. That kid deserves you. Come see him sometime? Maybe, I said. Once things settle down. Thanks again, man. You saved me. No, I said. We saved each other. We hung up. I stared at the ceiling for a while, letting the weight of it all press down. Then I grabbed my keys and walked out. I needed air. I needed a coffee that didn't taste like a deposition. I needed my life back. 3 days later, I saw Brad again. I was walking out of the grocery store, arms full of frozen meals and regret, when I saw the same beat-up Ford F-150 parked by the curb. Only this time, there was a child's seat in the back. Brad was kneeling by the passenger door, helping a squirmy little boy buckle in. The kid was laughing, really laughing, the kind of unfiltered, belly-deep giggle only toddlers and drunk uncles can produce. Leo. Brad looked up and spotted me. His face lit up, and he gave me a quick wave. I walked over. Leo squinted up at me like he was trying to decide if I was a cartoon character or a threat. Then he said, with total seriousness, "My dad's truck has snacks." Brad chuckled. "This is true. We've got Cheez-Its, grapes, and 6 varieties of juice boxes." Diplomatic immunity. I nodded. He's already living the dream. We talked for a minute. Brad told me Leo had been shy the first night but warmed up after 2 bedtime stories and a box of dinosaur chicken nuggets. "I don't think he even understands what happened," Brad said. "He just knows I'm here now. Every morning when he wakes up and sees me in the kitchen, he grins like he won the lottery." "You both did." Brad grew quiet. Then softly, "You ever wonder if she, Lisa, actually believed what she was doing?" I looked away. "No. Lisa didn't believe in anything except winning." He nodded. "I keep thinking about all the times I could have asked questions. Could have demanded proof. But I didn't. I wanted it to be true." "That doesn't make you dumb, Brad. That makes you human." He gave me a tired smile. "Well, this human's got a court-mandated parenting class at 4. And then we're making spaghetti. Leo insists on helping. Which means I'll be cleaning sauce off the ceiling until next Wednesday." He opened the truck door, and Leo immediately shouted, "I get to stir." Yeah, Chef Boyardee, relax," Brad muttered, buckling him in. Before he closed the door, he turned to me. "You ever need anything, I've got you. You didn't have to help me. But you did." I nodded. "Just raise him right. That's all the payback I need." Brad smiled, climbed in, and drove off. I watched them go, that truck bouncing over a pothole like a scene from a movie I didn't know I'd been cast in. I turned to head home. My phone buzzed again. Another blocked number. Lisa again. I stared at it for a second, thumb hovering. Then I hit decline. Blocked her for good. Let her rot in silence. I thought that would be the end of it. That after blocking Lisa, I'd walk back into a quiet life where bills made sense, courtrooms were distant memories, and I never again had to utter the phrase, paternity fraud, over coffee. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, Mark called me at 6:45 a.m., the kind of time only emergencies or sociopaths believe is acceptable. "She's trying to appeal." I sat up in bed. "What?" "She's in jail." "Correction, she's in county jail, awaiting trial." And her public defender just filed a motion to dismiss the fraud charges, claiming emotional distress and hormonal imbalance. I blinked. Is that even real? It's balls, I'll give her that. But here's the kicker, she's naming you in a new civil suit. I choked on my own spit. For what? Defamation. She says the exposure from the courtroom caused irreparable reputational damage, and claims you conspired with Brad to publicly humiliate and slander her. I had to actually sit down. Mark, am I on an episode of some legal prank show? Is Ashton Kutcher going to jump out of my kitchen pantry? She's desperate, Dom. Her bail was denied, her fraud charges are multiplying, and now she's flailing. She's suing everyone she can name. You, Brad, the lab technician, probably Judge Harrison next. So what do we do? Mark sighed like he was already sipping bourbon. Nothing. We file a motion to dismiss. We don't engage, we don't react. Let her dig her own grave with a gold-plated spoon. But it still rattled me. Not because I thought she'd win, but because the noise never stopped. Even from behind bars, Lisa was still swinging. Still trying to burn down everything that didn't worship her. That night, I sat in my car outside the old coffee shop Lisa and I used to visit when we first dated. It was closed. Dark inside. I sat there anyway. It hit me how far I'd come, from sipping lattes with a woman who knew how to fake a smile better than most actors, to fighting off a $48,000 lie, to watching her be dragged out of a courtroom while screaming my name like it was a curse. And Brad. Brad was probably elbow-deep in finger paints by now. Raising Leo. Making spaghetti. Living. Lisa never expected that the two men she tried to use would find each other. Would compare notes. Would team up. She thought men were dumb, divided, easily manipulated. She bet on us breaking. We bet on the truth. And the truth? It's got a nasty habit of showing up with receipts, witness statements, and DNA results. 3 months passed. Lisa's trial date was set, bail still denied. Her public defender kept trying to delay proceedings, citing everything from mental health breakdowns to supposed threats she'd received online, which no one could trace, because they didn't exist. But the court wasn't buying it. Especially not Judge Harrison, who clearly remembered every second of the circus Lisa brought into her courtroom. Mark kept me updated. "She's going down," he said one day. "The DA's not just going after her for paternity fraud anymore. They're stacking everything: false sworn affidavits, perjury, identity theft, mail fraud, the GoFundMe scam. I mean, she even forged a pediatrician's signature on a letter claiming Leo had cancer. She's a damn one-woman Ponzi scheme," I muttered. "And the worst part?" Mark added. "She didn't even spend the money well. No investments. No savings. She just burned it. Designer bags, spa treatments, online shopping sprees, and a subscription box that shipped her monthly crystals to cleanse her aura." I laughed, even though it wasn't funny. It still didn't feel real, most days. That someone could build an entire fiction out of thin air and try to chain it to your life permanently. One signature. One missed hearing. That was all it would have taken. And she nearly got away with it. But then there was Brad. I saw him again at a park, the same one Lisa's fake witnesses had named in her affidavit. It was a crisp Saturday afternoon. Kids were screaming from the jungle gym, dogs yapping, parents chasing after juice box-fueled toddlers. And there was Leo, face covered in ice cream, wearing a little red dinosaur hoodie. "Hey!" Brad called out, jogging over. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Didn't expect to be here," I said. "I was just driving. Needed air." "You okay?" he asked. "Better than I've been in a long time." We walked along the path, Leo running ahead and then doubling back every few minutes to show us a stick or a rock or a squirrel with what he swore was a tattoo. "You think he'll remember her?" I asked. Brad was quiet for a second. "Maybe. Maybe not. I don't talk bad about her around him. I just tell him she had problems, and now I'm here to keep him safe." "That's good. He's in preschool now," Brad said. "Already got into a fight with a kid who tried to take his crayons. Stubborn little guy. Wonder where he gets that from." We laughed. "He loves pancakes," Brad added. "Sleeps with this weird rubber duck named Carl. Wakes up screaming sometimes, but then just goes right back to sleep like nothing happened." I nodded. "He's lucky to have you." He almost didn't. He turned and looked me straight in the eye. "If you hadn't gone looking for me, if you hadn't shown up at that motel, I would have thought she was just done with me. I never would have fought back. I would have let her win. You were a good guy who trusted the wrong person," I said. "So was I." We stood there, watching Leo stomp through a pile of leaves like he was on a mission from God. "You know what the worst part is?" Brad asked quietly. "I still loved her. Even after all the lies. Even when she drained my bank account. A part of me thought, maybe she was doing it all for Leo." "She wasn't," I said. "She was doing it for herself." He nodded slowly. "Yeah." We said goodbye a little later. He packed Leo into the truck, now cleaner, newer, upgraded from the clunker I first found him in. The windows weren't cracked anymore. There was a car seat in the back that didn't look like it came from a yard sale. He waved as he pulled away. And I stood there in the parking lot, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not the kind that comes from revenge or winning. The kind that comes from knowing you did something right, even if everything started with something wrong. Lisa was gone. Blocked. Out of my head. No more calls. No more letters. Her face would probably pop up in the news when her sentencing came down, but that was someone else's story now. I was no longer the villain in her fairy tale of lies. I was just me again. Dominic Torres. Single. Free. The guy who almost lost everything to a signature on a forged form. I drove home that evening and poured myself a glass of bourbon. Not a celebration, just a quiet moment of clarity. I put on some jazz. Loud. The kind that annoys the upstairs neighbor. And I didn't care. When I went to bed that night, I left my phone in the kitchen drawer. No alarms. No buzzing. No ghosts. Just silence. The kind that tells you, for the first time in a long time, you're finally safe.